It's a good goddamn. Here comes your ghost again. It's dim in the light that once was bright, telling me I just can't win. I said, goddamn.
So here we are at the Evans City Cemetery. This is where the famous opening sequence of Night of the Living Dead was filmed. Here we have the famous...
They're coming for you, Barbara.
You're being ignorant. This is where...
Coming for you.
You're acting like a child! PA, where George Romero created Night of the Living Dead in 1968. It's just as you would imagine, just as you saw in the movie. They used black and white, real townspeople from this little town in the movie. Very authentic. They also filmed Crazies here in the 70s, and now we're going to go to the museum. So we finally made it to the Living Dead Museum in Evans City, PA. Here we go. She said just give him my ticket. Stills from the movie. So I was trying to find some information about the makeup crew that worked on the original 1968 version of The Living Dead. And the cool thing is they didn't really have an official makeup crew. You know, it was super low budget. They were using chocolate syrup for blood. The makeup consisted really just of white makeup on the face and then blacked out eyes. And then as they started progressing, I think they started using a little bit of mortician's wax and things like that. But it was completely the most low budget ever, which is why it was so awesome. And it ended up being a classic, obviously. I will say, though, that they ended up having to have more of a budget than they first thought. I don't want to say it was too much budget.
CIA has not produced any public information. Why are space experts being consulted about an Earth-bound emergency? So far,
Lots of other memorabilia besides Night of the Living Dead. Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
Some original props.
So originally, George Romero wrote Night of the Living Dead as a short story. There were 3 short stories, or not short stories, but Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, and starting with Night of the Living Dead.
civil defense officials in Cumberland have told newsmen that murder victims show evidence of having been...
And Return of the Living Dead was kind of a homage, I guess you would say, to Night of the Living Dead, or a continuation. There's Bub.
And this museum used to be in the Monroeville Mall, but now it's out here in Evans City, which is still super cool.
Well, it's where they filmed it, which is makes it even cooler.
True. Yes.
All right, a lot of people ask, why the Living Deads? Why the name?
When Randy and I first met, I was not playing music. I was actually learning special effects makeup for horror films. Down in Florida, I was apprenticing with Rick Gonzalez, who was on the makeup crew for Day of the Dead. And I was living in Denver at the time. We were sitting in our little apartment in Capitol Hill, and Randy, this was after he had convinced me that I could play bass and maybe be part of the band too. And I just remember him saying, hey, the Living Deads, that would be a cool band name. And of course I was immediately on board with that.
Yeah, this is what, 11 years ago, I think we thought of this, 10 years ago, the actual name. It was kind of a twofold subject for me. I grew up in Akron, Ohio. A lot of my family come from the Pittsburgh, Beaver Falls, Rochester area, Pennsylvania. I've known all about this movie for a very long time, and it's also kind of homage to all the music heroes that died before us too. That give their life for music. It was kind of those two combined for us. A lot of our songs are not about zombies. Very Taste for Blood maybe is the closest thing.
No, that's what I actually wanted to do when I was waiting tables. I actually did want to murder people. That's what that one's about.
But you know, we love B movies, and I wouldn't really consider Night of the Living Dead a B movie. It's like the grandfather of them all. There was other horror films out before then or around that time, but it really cemented, especially the zombie genre.
But they were ghouls.
They were ghouls.
They
They
were
weren't
ghouls
zombies.
then. They were zombies later.
Yeah, so they were ghouls. So the ghoul films, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
So George Romero, hats off to you. What you've done for the movie
Film,
industry.
art,
I mean,
music.
more than just horror films. I mean,
Yeah. He left a legacy, that's for sure.
yeah.
So it's kind of like a homecoming for us, I guess.
It
being
really
here.
is. Yeah, cool.